Over the last 2 years, 16 million people have started playing guitar. That is amazing, and it's really exciting. And in that boom of guitars, lots of people are trying to figure out how to buy the right guitars the first time to just learn how to play, and then there's a whole new chunk of the market that are trying to move up in the guitars. Now, 2 guitars that came out in that same launch are the Gibson G45 and the Taylor AD17. These are both guitars that are made for intermediates that are wanting to become professional. And so I just want to compare these two. This is the closest thing that I've ever made to a direct comparison between Gibson and Taylor guitars. If you're one of those 16 million that's new to guitar, I am so excited for you. I'm glad you're here. I want to help you find the right guitars. I want to help you sell the wrong guitars because, listen, you're going to buy some wrong guitars. And also, I want to help you figure out how to keep guitars in your life that are actually representative of you. That when people see them, they'll see what you value, they'll see what you care about, they'll see what kind of music you like, and they will see what you want to offer the world. That is the deep and meaningful stuff that all of us should aim for. It's not about the guitars. It is about the self-discovery and the friends you're going to make along the way. I am so excited for you. Now, 2 things. 1, make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you see more of the free videos that come out from here. Now, the other thing is I want to talk about, and this video is sponsored by my course, Write Guitars Faster. It is 19 videos, 6 hours. You can do it in a day. It is an amazing resource that will help you find the right guitars, sell the wrong guitars, and build a meaningful guitar collection. It is the best and coolest work I've ever done. I'm so proud of it, and I want you to benefit from it. So check out that course. It's amazing. It's a really, really helpful thing. With all of that said, let's talk about Gibson. Let's talk about Taylor. Now, Gibson guitars. Gibson is iconic. You cannot see that headstock logo, this style of guitar, and not have a ton of thoughts and feelings and experiences and memories, because this is tied to so much of pop culture in the last 100 years. Now, Gibson has an interesting story, and this is not the entire story, but this is a very simplified history of Gibson guitars. Orville Gibson, who started Gibson Guitars, was not involved with the company for very long. He was mostly interested in banjos and mandolins, and this is before guitars as we knew them kind of existed. Gibson then took on a whole new life of banjos, snakehead banjos, and then that also led into the Lloyd Loar era, which is incredible mandolins. If you care about mandolins, the most important and just world galaxy shaping instruments were Lloyd Loar era Gibson mandolins, particularly the F5 and the A and the A2 and the A5. These mandolins were really important. Now, it wasn't long before the advanced jumbo showed up, and Gibson introduced round-shouldered dreadnoughts, which were boomy and wonderful. The round shoulder has changed life as we know it. The Gibson J45, the Gibson J35, and then you get to the big boys. You get to the J185s, the J200s. Gibson has been a part of every important folk guitar and acoustic guitar movement in the last 100 years, 150 years. They've been right there, and they've been really exciting. So when people are thinking about what guitars they should look for, it makes complete sense to look to Gibson acoustics. And so that's where this guitar shows up. This is the Gibson G45. This one showed up last year. This was a guitar that was launched. And it's interesting. We'll talk about this more in a second, but I want to bring you up to speed on Taylor on the other side. It is the story of Bob Taylor in Southern California. Gibson hangs a lot on tradition, and they say the best guitars that have ever been made were made by Gibson, and therefore, let's just reissue them. Let's continue to put out new guitars that really harken back to older style guitars, where Taylor has constantly said, the best guitars are out there. We're going to push, we're going to change, we're going to innovate. And they have always led. Taylor has always been synonymous with the newest, coolest guitars. Now, some of those things, innovation, sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, but this guitar is the first one that's really kind of thoughtful and introspective and retrospective. The American Dream, that was the workshop that Bob Taylor learned how to build guitars in. And so, as this guitar has come to exist, it is reminiscent and it's nostalgic and it's kind of older, but at the same time, it's still super exciting. V-class bracing in this guitar. So there are different ways the guitars are braced. How are these guitars similar? They're pretty similar in a lot of ways. Both dreadnoughts, both round shoulders, both 14 frets, both spruce tops, both, let's see, this one is ebony, no, this is Palfaro fingerboard and neck, or fretboard. This is eucalyptus bridge and fingerboard on this one. Both are solid peg heads. Both are satin finishes. Now we're going to start getting into some of the differences. So Avoncall on the Taylor on the back and sides, walnut on the back and sides here. The next real change is the bracing on the inside of these guitars. Now, traditional X bracing on the Gibson, and then V-class bracing, which is a very different shape of bracing. And so basically with this, there's an X that meets right behind the bridge. I'll put in a graphic here to show you on that. And then on this side, there is the V-class bracing. So basically, the main difference that you would expect between the two bracing patterns would be that this has a much larger active area of vibration for the top to vibrate. Should mean more bass, more resonance, more punch. This guitar will have a very traditional sounding, great punch, great clarity, great bass response. Now, the other things that you should expect from the two different tone woods, Avoncall is a bit of a wild card. I mean, Taylor is the only one that I really know that's using this all the time. And so I don't know what to expect with this guitar, but the walnut, one of my favorite Martins ever sold is the Martin OM Clara Walnut, which is a walnut back and sides. I love walnut. It is sustainable. It grows in North America. It sounds great. It's beautiful to look at. That's why I bought this one, is that there's just such great figuring in the walnut. Now, all of that to say, these two guitars sound absolutely different, and I think we should hear how they sound. And so, let's play the Gibson first, and then we'll play the Taylor. Both of these guitars have the same strings on them. They have the Addario Nickel Bronze. These are strings that I really enjoy. There's a link in the description down below. It's an affiliate link. If you buy those, I get a small commission. Pennies. But Why are these guitars so different? I've asked myself that a ton of times because I feel it when I play these two different guitars. Now, both of these belong to me. Now, this video, let's call it sponsored. This video is technically sponsored because I got this guitar as part of a deal with Sweetwater to make a video about it, demonstrate it. Now, they paid for my time. They did not pay for my opinions. So, all the opinions about this guitar are mine. Now, the same thing was true with this. I got to pick this guitar out, and Sweetwater, I ended up getting this guitar in part of a deal, so I didn't pay for this guitar, but I definitely picked this one out, and I would have bought this one. So, anyway, all of that. Why are these guitars so different? I think that these guitars, in the surge of new people starting to play guitar, I think that these brands saw new players moving up in instruments, and they both jumped in, and it worked really well for one, and it didn't for the other. Let's go with the one that's good. So Taylor came in and said, how can we add value? They wanted to add value by innovating. So this guitar, there's tons of innovation on this. The finish, the blacktop finish in particular, and the way that they do this finish, and they make it to where there isn't binding on this guitar. Now that's a knock normally. I don't like guitars that don't have binding. I think it makes a particular risk. It presents a certain risk for hitting these guitars, bonking these guitars, because there's not binding to hold the top to the sides. So, but in innovation, they kind of leave this exposed edge. It is beveled, and so with that, you have this little line that looks like binding, so it works out. So there's some innovation there. The way they've innovated using tone woods that are a little atypical, the eucalyptus on the bridge and fingerboard. It's also unusual for a Taylor to have round shoulders, to have, I mean, this is a Gibson kind of style and look. It feels vintagey, but it still feels cool. The finish on the top, and this is the last thing I'll say on the finish, this reminds me of some of that Japanese woodworking where they char the wood, then they cover it in oil. This thing is captivating to look at. They leaned into innovation, and they said, what value can we bring by innovation? An American-made guitar as affordably as they can that would inspire new guitar players, and that is what they did. This guitar, I can't imagine selling this because I think that this is a perfect time capsule to the Taylor. It is such a mission statement of who they are, where they are, what they value. Taylor has tried to aim at, let us throw innovation at it and get people to buy these guitars. Gibson has said, let's throw tradition at it. And so what they've done is they've given you these little clickbaity things everybody wants a Gibson headstock. That's the thing. Look at how many conversion kits you can buy to change your Epiphone headstock into a Gibson headstock. This is the thing they're selling you on. So they're selling you on tradition and nostalgia. They give you round shoulders because it looks like a J45. They give you the straight bridge because it looks like an AJ35 or an advanced jumbo or an older vintage style guitar. They give you this 50s style pickguard, 40s, 50s style pickguard. The thing with this guitar is that it just feels like they're throwing gimmicks and nostalgia at people instead of actual quality guitar. There's no binding on this guitar, and it's not like there's some clever trick that it looks like binding, but it's not. There's just not binding on this guitar, and on front or back. And so it ends up feeling particularly budget. Now, the other thing with this is that the finish work is just rough on this guitar, and I am not trying to poo-poo this guitar, but these two are completely different qualities. This guitar is absolutely stunning for what it is, and I totally get, and I'm totally okay with the compromises on this. On this guitar, there's a couple things that I think are a little bit inexcusable. There are dots in the finish. So there's 3 dots here on the finish that should have been sanded through that are just bad finish work. There's also one, where is it? I just saw it. It's on the right here by the 3rd fret. It looks like someone they drilled the hole for the fret marker wrong. They had to fill it and put it back in. So anyway, in the race to the bottom dollar, everyone loses. And that's what I talked about in this video, and I want to elaborate on that, and that's how we'll close this video. One of the phrases, if you're around this channel a lot, one of the phrases you'll hear me say, and it came from a dear mentor, my first boss, used to always say this. He would say, in the race to the bottom dollar, everyone loses. So let me expand on that. Why does everyone lose in the race to the bottom dollar? Number one, when you sell a product for as little as you can, all of that margin that you're giving up, that is where customer support, product support, customer service, that is where all of those things that help you process and kind of make sure that you're living well with the instrument that you bought, that's where all that stuff lives. And so when you're racing to the bottom dollar, when you are just throwing gimmicks to try and get money out of people, it makes it to where if those guitars are going to be sub-quality, and because of that, they're going to need support, they're going to need all that. So that's where, to me, this guitar, the Gibson, feels like many corners were cut, and they're just trying to hit, like, the two ticks that they want to hit are made in the US and it says Gibson on the headstock. Like, those are the two things they want people to feel and see, and you get those. But what's interesting is, like, even on mine, you can tell how much they don't care, because the Gibson logo, it's a screen print and it's off. Like, something happened on the G, on the line coming off of the G, and mine's curved. And so it just feels like this guitar is made to get people's money, and they're not trying to add value, they're trying to extract nostalgia. That's what they're selling you on nostalgia. They're not adding value. They're not giving you the best guitar they can give you for that price. They're saying, okay, this is the least we can do to get that $1,200 out of you. Now, the Taylor is very different. They have tried to add value while owning up to the fact that there are some compromises that you have to make. You're not going to get a gloss finish. You're not going to get binding. You're not going to get a hard case. And so all of that culminates in, to me, one of the biggest things is you see the quality that they're bringing in the cases. So one, and I'll show you some B-roll while I'm talking about this. The Gibson gig bag is a great gig bag, but it is a gig bag. It has a really wonderful squashy neck support, has lots of pockets, lots of straps, but it's still very much a gig bag, and so you feel a bit like a high school kid taking your guitar to band practice, or, you know, taking your guitar to church, whatever. It feels a little campy and a little kiddie. Now, the Taylor Aero case is an entire redefinition of what a soft case can be. It has the red crushed velvet inside. It's very comfortable, has big, squashy, comfortable backpack straps. It is, I mean, like I said, it redefines what a soft case can be. Now, it's still pretty rigid, feels like a hard case, stores like a hard case, doesn't have as much storage. So on the Gibson case, you definitely have more storage, but I just think it looks cool. I think it adds genuine protection to the guitar. And it's a beautiful thing to look at. It's a beautiful thing to kind of feel and touch and experience. The zippers are really high quality. And yeah, in the end, Gibson versus Taylor. Different philosophies make different guitars. Different opportunities in the market mean that multiple guitar companies are going to come at you. And so, as you're growing, as you're learning to buy and sell guitars, you're going to start seeing guitars that brands are definitely aiming at you. You're going to feel yourself in the crosshairs. You're going to feel your nostalgia tingle. And you're going to think, wow, $1,200 for that much nostalgia. And it says Gibson on the headstock. And normally you have to pay $2,000 to get Gibson on the headstock. And then you see Taylor guitars and you're like, oh, well, you know, Kevin told me that Taylors aren't good and they don't have good bass response. You're going to start seeing that there's a lot of opinions and a lot of nonsense. And you have to start figuring out how to filter what information is actually helpful for you. And then also you're going to find which guitars actually work best for you. So if you would have told me 5 years ago that I would have my pick between American-made Gibsons and Taylors, and that I would choose a Taylor, that's crazy to me. But to me, this is a mind-blowingly good guitar for an incredible price. $1,500, this is crazy. You cannot beat this. Between Gibson and Martin, this is a better guitar if you're looking for a dreadnought with a pickup, a cool finish, cool case. I mean, I just can't get over how much of a guitar this is. And so in the fight between Taylor and Gibson, this Taylor absolutely wins, and the Gibson G45, it's fine. It's fine. If you like this video, please like it, please subscribe it, share it with your guitar playing friends. If you want help finding the right guitar for you, I've mentioned this before, and this video is brought to you by Right Guitars Faster. This is a full video course that culminates in a video call with me in which you get to talk about buying guitars, selling guitars, and building a meaningful guitar collection. If you're frustrated, if you're embarrassed by the guitar that you own now, you don't have to stay there. And you don't have to borrow a ton of money to do it. I would say don't borrow any money to do it. Check out Right Guitars Faster. It's the best tool I've ever made to help you find the right guitars, and I cannot wait to hear what guitars you get as a result. Thanks for watching this video. I'm Jeremy. I'll see you later.